Good morning, everybody. Once again, I think we've had a roaring start for the day with the Honorable Minister giving us a real good vision of uh, the growth of the state. And as always, right, this is a state where I think there has always been a great blend of technology education with the rich culture that it has. And as the topic says, it's all about Vision 2030, the next era, and the convergence advantage. Uh, Before we get started, maybe I thought I'll give a 2-minute context to the whole discussion, and then I think we have a set of eminent panel members who will really take us through their vision, their thoughts at this stage. In an era where we are, entering where transformation is purely exponential and defined by the convergence of technologies, it's no more just about technology, but about ecosystems, it's about platforms, it's about partnerships. How do we kind of, blend everything together as we kind of transcend traditional boundaries? It's not about any domain. Today, finance is learning from healthcare, logistics is learning from biotechnology. It's all about everybody kind of converging and one common goal of success and growth, and of course, being responsible at that, as in, making it sustainable too. And why does convergence matter at this stage? Because I think the rules of competitive advantage have changed. It's no more about building your sustainable competitive advantage, your as in your organization, but about synergies across partners. And with this comes a huge opportunity. How do we kind of overcome all of these with the challenges that we have? And that's where we will now dive into the discussion and explore what's not just next, but how we can all shape it together. Because in the next era, convergence is no more a choice, but will become our competitive advantage. With that, I think we'll get started with the three panel. Okay, we get started. I think, Jana, if maybe we can get started with you. And I think this will be to all of you. We said that the topic is Vision 2030, the next era. Given the current situation, current dynamics, how do each one of you, from your vantage positions, visualize the emergence of this exponential transformation, and how do you think it's going to impact business long term?
First, thanks, Srikanth, for having us here. Great to be here with NASSCOM, and look forward to these kinds of events always. On your question, I think the Honorable Minister couldn't have been more eloquent in describing the vision. There is hardly anything left for us to add. And he hit all the right spots, from data to AI to everything. But I'll still try to contextualize it from what we see, our perspective. Our colleague Ketaki this morning asked me, how frequently do I travel to Delhi? I was a bit ashamed of admitting that I think twice about it because of the AQI levels. So the first thing on my mind for the next few years is obviously clean energy, renewable energy, and GHG reduction commitments. So I really wish the industry, the capital investment that is required, accelerates much further and goals actually pull back. Of course, Tamil Nadu itself has a very good commitment of penetrating at least 50% renewable energy. Globally, RE100, 400 companies are committing to, I just came back from a Microsoft conference where they reconfirmed their intent to be 100% renewable for their data centers by this year. The Tata Group has also committed for elimination of Scope 1, Scope 2 up to 90% by FY 2030. Hyundai here has partnered with IIT Madras on an initiative called H2 for hydrogen fuel exploration. So the more companies and government entities commit to it, bring the capital investment, bring the policies around it, I think that vision can be achieved much faster. That's one thing. Second, Honorable Minister spoke about AI. Rapid pace of AI and robotics in terms of scale technology advancements, it's there. I wish and I hope and I also look forward to it becoming much more inclusive. Yes. AI is not something for STEM, for professionals, for IT sector. It is for everybody. Everybody being an AI practitioner, the lines between creator and user really blurring away and thinning down. So a Kirana store owner or a delivery agent or people servicing us on our everyday basis, being able to create small tools for their cash management, for their shrinkage reduction and all, and being able to use AI in their everyday work is something that will definitely be achieved in the next couple of years for sure, and definitely by 2030. Lastly, the world has made a lot of attempts to try to redefine GDP in other words that incorporate human happiness and progress. There have been attempts at human happiness index and of course SDG itself. So I'm looking forward to really good standard definitions of what constitutes SDG plus GDP together to something new, which is globally accepted and then followed in reality, rather than purely P&L measures of growth.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. I mean, given today that we have multiple definitions coming all the time and newer acronyms coming all the time, absolutely, I kind of agree on that. And so, Siva, if we can kind of, touch upon, and you come from a completely happening space, if I can call it, right? The field of pharma and biotech. How do you really look at Vision 2030?
Yeah, thank you for that. I think it's really exciting, not just for pharma, for any industry today, right? I think there's three things as I look at 2030 that are really, really exciting and inspiring. So one is the maturation of all these technologies is reaching a tipping point. So, we were trying to understand what AI could do, what are its capabilities, how much more it could do, and I think we are now starting to get to a point where we sort of understand where it works, where it delivers most value, and where it doesn't work that well, right? And similarly, every other technology, I think it's all coming together into that tipping point where it can really get into an exponential mode. So I think that is very interesting for any industry, including pharma, how we, discover new drugs or develop our medicines. That is really exciting as I look at 2030. The other thing is the human potential. I think the minister touched on this a little bit. And I think if you look at the last, several decades, I think human beings, to a large extent, have been doing activities that are not really what they're designed to do. Very repetitive activities, going by, standard operating procedures, and so on and so forth. And I think now is the point where I think we can unleash the potential of the human by really, taking some of those activities which could be done by AI or the machines and actually giving it to them, so that we can let the humans focus on where they actually can be augmented by AI and other technologies and really use their creativity, their judgment, their critical thinking, all of these capabilities to really add to the organizational intelligence. So if you look at the overall organizational intelligence in 2030, I would say a big share of that's going to be humans, and there's going to be a big share that's going to be AI agents, right? And these are going to be working together. It's going to be a mixed workforce that's really going to increase the overall intelligence and capability of the organization. I think that is really exciting, not just because of the technology, but because it allows humans to do things they enjoy, that's fulfilling, that is actually going to be much more interesting for them to do. And I think the last one, which I'm really excited by, is that if you look at the last 25 years, India has been really tipped the scales and really good at office-based work, right? We have taken office-based work from around the world, and we are able to do it at scale. We are able to do it at a different level of efficiency and effectiveness, and that's how our industries have thrived, whether it be IT, ITS, or GCCs, or any of these. And I think as I look to the next 5 years, I think we'll start to see with the whole physical processes that could be happening in labs, it could be happening in factories, could be happening in warehouses. As robotics matures, as IoT, digital twins, AR, VR, all these technologies mature and come together, as I said in my first point, I think that gives us an opportunity to really step up into much bigger spaces, much wider spaces than what we've been working on in the last 25 years. So I think we will start to see that in a big way in 2030. So these three are really exciting for us.
Great. Thank you, Shiva. I think completely kind of agree. And so, Naresh, I think you come from, you represent one of the key pillars of the triumvirate of industrial success, right? Academia. And this is a space which is kind of, reinventing itself, growing by the day. So what's your vision? How are you people envisioning this?
So first, thank you, Shrikant, for the question. And I take a different perception from the academia part, where we need to address a lot of thought process and dreams in our capacity when it comes to students, and we can't restrict to one domain or one thought process. So what we have done is we have created an innovation ecosystem inside the campuses where we ask students to participate in solving one social problem. So using an engineering thought process. So we have dedicated hackathons, 4 hackathons in the campus. So we have made a Vision 2030, rightly matching the topic as attainment of SDGs as our core thought process. Because United Nations is given 17 goals, and this 17 goals has all the agendas and all the requirements, even as technology, as inclusion, as participation. It has covered most of the concepts which needs to be participated and which needs to be solved. So we have given that as a purpose for the academic institution to solve during their 4-year journey, where students get in practice of identifying one passionate problem and try to solve it in their 4-year journey using technology and engineering background. So what this is yielding is we are giving a balance of tech and also social emotional learning. Because now only technology is not able to satisfy the students' holistic growth. We need them to have a thought process on how to approach as a team and how to work a problem around and how to solve when there is a critical situation. So this kind of approach of attainment of UN's SDG through academic institution is giving us a vision to drive a purposeful activity and also a student to work on his way around to find a purpose and solve it in his pathway, which he feels proud about. And it's just not a project title in the final year. It's something which he is really solved and which he is passionate about. So this vision is driving us as an academic institution to give an holistic approach.
This is great. I mean, this is absolutely so heartening to hear, right? I mean, it's not just about learning, but also about contributing and also contributing to society. I mean, I think you're not only educating them, you're also instilling the right values at the right age. So it's a great mix. Thank you. I mean, as we move on, right? I mean, I think this is all about the era of convergence of business and technology. I mean, we want to kind of see how this is going to converge. I think one piece of the puzzle that seems unsolved today for all of us is the consumer or the customer expectation, the client expectation, that continues to only rise upper and continues to be upper, right? I mean, it's an era of personalization, it's an era of ultra personalization, or I would call it nano personalization today. Every customer wants his or her needs to be met with in the most customized way possible. So how do you see each of your organizations transforming to deliver far greater value in these testing times? Maybe we'll probably kind of go in a different order. We'll start, Siva, with you, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I think you touched on a very, very important element there, which is about not only the expectations of the consumers, and in our case, our patients, for example, are getting higher because what they see out there in the marketplace, right? As businesses, we deal with them, but also there are other businesses that are totally B2C that deal with them in a different way, right? So I think especially for industries that are not necessarily directly B2C and they are more of a B2B sort of industries, we need to master how to work in this new era, how to understand the expectations of the consumer or the patient in our case, and be able to center our business entirely around the patient. So we call this a patient-centric science, right? So basically looking at everything in our company, every process in our company, and reimagining it from the patient experience standpoint. What's the experience that the patient goes through as they go through a clinical trial or as they go and get treated in a hospital or at home, for example, and how does that whole experience actually happen, and then being able to reconfigure our business around it. I think the very important thing here, and also very important for AI companies that are trying to, and even companies trying to push out AI solutions to employees or consumers, is the deep understanding of that every step in their day, right? So actually consumer goods companies did that very well. Even 30 years ago, we could see that companies such as P&G and Unilever, they used to go to people's homes to understand how they use washing powder or soap or whatever, right? Every little nuance, packaging, can someone actually open a package when their hands are wet? So that's a level of detail they used to go to. And now every industry has to really be looking at their customers, their patients in that way to really truly understand the pain points, truly understand what makes a difference in their day, to really, and then start to bring that as a dynamic capability, right? So understanding the changes in their expectations and then being able to reconfigure our own businesses and constantly develop these capabilities to be more closer to our consumers and patients. So we have used this extensively in our company, this whole approach of saying, let's look at the treatment life cycle of a patient right from, of course, prevention best, but from the early diagnosis to detection of the disease to then the treatment, and then, of course, the maintenance of that treatment over the life cycle, and then the return to health, right? So looking at the entire cycle and seeing every touch point where technology and AI can influence that and make that journey easier for the patient. So that's absolutely, I think, where we all need to be thinking through. Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely. Jana, coming to you, I think, while in your role, current role as CIO of TCS, but in your past roles, you've kind of looked at clients across domains. So how do you think this is changing, right? I mean, each domain also is very different. How are you looking at this?
So I'll give you two examples. First, I mean, both inspired by what the Honorable Minister also referred to. One is, personalization using the advancements of AI. And he referred specifically to voice-driven way of doing business. Right? One of our group companies has been working on reimagining how it is able to reach tier 2, tier 3 towns, villages with its services of lending products in a way that is completely inclusive and that doesn't require them the friction of filling forms and then printing in multiple languages and so on. And voice has come to the rescue. So they've been working on a Indian-based foundation model which is able to recognize dialects and help the customer go through the full process of product discovery, onboarding, underwriting, and then the process of ongoing customer maintenance, and then collections and all in the lending product, purely through voice, right? And these are models developed which can recognize the difference, trained to the extent that it can recognize the difference between a Malige Kadai and a Malige Angadi, right? Two different dialects spoken in different parts of Tamil Nadu. That's a great example of how technology, business need, and inclusivity of a community is coming together to deliver value eventually to people. And that has obviously increased the efficiency for the business, but also significantly increased reach, improved collections, advanced collections, and so many ways. The other example also is digital governance, where the end consumer is a citizen or a startup or a company, and they want to do business with the state government. And many of the examples that our minister referred to, whether it is a registration portal, e-governance portal, single window portal, or how the Tamil Nadu police tracks cases and tracks subjects of interest with biometrics and AI, are beautiful examples of convergence of business need, community need, technology, coming together with many players like us, helping achieve the reality. Immense value delivered, double the number of investments. Minister himself spoke about the growth in the startups from 3,000 to 12,000 as well. Great examples, many more too.
Great, thank you, thank you. Naresh, coming to you, I think, I know education is, as we said, is an extremely fast-changing pace. I know here, I think, how do you see delivering value? Because, see, you have multiple stakeholders here. First and foremost, the one you meet every day, the student. Second, the force behind them, and the people who fund their education, the parent. And thirdly, is, of course, eventually where they will go, the industry. How do you kind of look at this, and how are you able to deliver value?
So exactly as you said, the more number of consumers are with education, academic background. So
Yes.
we have different stakeholders and a lot of expectations on us.
Yes.
From, as you rightly said, students, parents, and the industry. So we see majorly there is 3 outcomes in an academic institution. A student, most of the part, they would like to go for a placement in a good company or getting out a good employment. And the second part would be they are getting into an entrepreneurship or building their own businesses before moving out of the campus. And the third one, maybe they are aspirants of higher education where they want to do their masters. So these are the major 3 outcomes which we evaluate in our campuses. So we closely work with all the stakeholders. For example, if it comes to the placements and employment opportunities, we closely work with the industry on what is their requirement for the next 4 years or next 5 years. And we curate the curriculum based on their inputs, and it has become more dynamic now. I should thank industries for collaborating in making curriculum. TCS has made CSBS. We are a beneficiary of holding their curriculum, and we are working students on that. And Delphi TVS is working on making an elective for the students. So this kind of industry collaboration is making the students more industry ready. So I think we should reach out more, and the industry should work with us, because we have been talking about this industry academia gap, but now I think it is getting minimalized by the collaboration, and it is kind of a win-win situation where we are able to give inputs on the emerging tech for mechanical related companies. We are working with MSMEs, where MSMEs use us as an extended R&D division, because they don't have the opportunity to have R&D in virtual reality or AI, where they give their problems and our students solve it and give it back as a solution. So this is making a real hands-on experience, and the students are able to fetch in opportunities, even in hackathons. No, now hiring is morely based on hands-on. So students are now able to give a beautiful resume, so however you want, based on the company. So it's really, the hiring happening mostly is based on the hands-on hackathons and competitions. So we equip students in these kind of center of excellences, where they really participate in the real-time problems given by the industry, and that hands-on experience is able to get them into employment. Same goes to entrepreneurship. We have our own incubation center inside the campus. So that problem which they have identified in the society or from the company, if they want to build a startup around it, as the Honorable Minister said, there is a lot of seed funds and government support which is happening. We find a lot of opening there, where one such study, I would say, for Defense Innovation Organization, is giving problem statement from the Ministry of Defense, where our students are able to face the panel members and crack it. And I'm happy to say 2 of the defense project is built in our campus. So these are all dream come true, and that kind of precision engineering is being able to be handled in the campuses now. So we would love to work with any team. So because, as rightly said, human resource, and we are the human capital. Human resource is available in abundance. So companies can see this as a benefit, where they can use these students as interns and solve their long-term problems inside the campuses, which will be benefit for both of us.
Absolutely. I mean, this is very, very good to hear, right? I mean, as they say, right, I mean, even the startup scene in India has actually kind of, matured over the last decade or so, right? I mean, 10, 15 years ago, if you would find a startup in the college, I mean, students coming out of the college, they will be the ones who probably did not get placed on campus, and it actually pushing time to do something, keeping themselves busy, eventually to get a job. But today, I think you're really getting people who are serious about the startup, coming out with the real problem statements and wanting to find solutions, and that's very, very good to hear. Great, thank you. And I think today, any discussion will have to have a flavor of AI, right? I mean, otherwise we will seem very out of place or out of sync, or a little dinosaured, if I can call it. So maybe AI is the flavor of the day. Maybe we'll probably want to kind of talk a little about it, and how each one of you sees the embrace of AI. How is AI getting embraced in each of your own vantage positions? And how is it collaborating with the human workforce in your own positions? I mean, ultimately, they have to coexist, and we all agree with that. So the significant, and how is it impacting, or what is its significance in the overall decision-making process and productivity? But again, it'd be great if each one of you can also touch upon not just productivity, but also about the governance, the ethics, and the regulatory piece, because ultimately, if AI is being used, how responsible are we at it? So we can start with anyone. Jana, if you want to get started. Thank you.
So one of the things we are clearly seeing, and everybody speaks about it, AI is not a tech transformation in an enterprise. AI is not only just a business transformation as well. AI is also an equally big culture transformation. And infusing AI in the DNA of everyone in our workforce, everyone with our customers' workforce, people that we interact with, is a key objective of a lot of things that I'm currently driving in my own role. So it includes things like creating the ecosystem that's required to give everyone democratic access to various AI tools, and then encouraging innovation, doing large-scale hackathons. We just concluded one of those where we got almost half the company to participate in it and create AI products themselves. And similar approach to then getting senior leaders, non-technical people, come and experience AI and then start working with it. So that triggers the real transformation in the company and then the adoption itself. But the part that is a little less spoken about is, a lot of people say human in the loop. And there are various interpretations of that. And there are some guidelines like the European AI Act, which gives a risk-based approach to how AI systems should be developed, but still focuses more on the outcome, how human involvement in the outcome should be, right? But it still leaves the question open, for instance, that if an enterprise wants to recruit someone entirely through AI all the way through, and maybe a human makes a last decision on compensation, is that okay? Right? So enough deliberation has to happen in this particular area, which is broadly in the realm of responsible AI, security, intellectual property being the other aspects of it. So we have been deliberating quite a lot on it, and there are points of view emerging now on how human and AI should be pairing throughout the entire life cycle of AI solutions that are being built, whether for enterprise or government or for communities, where the human is in the loop in the design, in the build, in the decisions, and the bigger decision that the human has to make is in which parts of this entire process do we give AI enough autonomy, and where do humans come in to verify, retrain, audit, and then do it. So that, in a nutshell, is called what we call as intelligence choice architecture. And a lot more, I think, needs to be done to define that in very concrete terms so that it is implementable in very uniform ways across enterprises, governments, and various others.
Great. I mean, I think you brought out a very important point, and I think this was coming up in another discussion also a few days back in one of our earlier, in the same event in the earlier cities, where, at what point of time do we decide that the machine does what it needs to do, right? The human decides. I mean, if you leave for the machine to decide what it has to do, then, what happens to human ingenuity and how do you control, right? I mean, that's very, very critical. But Siva, coming over to you, and I think, again, you come from an industry where there's a lot of critical data, personal data, patient data, and so on and so forth, right? I mean, and the restrictions of the data is very high. How do you look at AI here, and how do you look at kind of, giving the right safeguards?
Yeah, that's a great one, Shrikant. I think the way we think about it is essentially there's two roles AI could play. One is automation, and the other is augmentations, right? So automation is where you eliminate human activity, where an entire process or a step can be done entirely with AI. And then augmentation is where AI is helping the human as they go about making their decision and so on. So we really have to look at our enterprise processes and say, where do we want to play AI to play the automation role, and where do we want it to play the augmentation role? And as I said before, I think it's really important for any company today to really maximize the human potential. And not, I think it's a wrong trend to say, how do we save jobs from AI? I think it's really about how do we utilize AI where things can be automated, they are automated, so that the human potential is really used in a way that's benefiting the organization overall. So if you look at it that way, we look at our entire value chain and say, where are those opportunities where we need AI-driven augmentation of human, right? Which makes for more effective decisions, more fair decisions, more accurate decisions, and so on. And where, of course, we can automate, we would, of course, want to automate with AI, right? I think a very important thing here is, I think maybe back to the academia and how we look at it this way is, what are the sorts of skills that human beings need in that augmented capacity, where they're going to be augmented by AI? It's not really knowing a lot of methods or programming languages and things like that. It's really about having some of those, what we typically classify as humanities kind of disciplines, right? Critical thinking, judgment, respect for equity and fairness and inclusion, and really being able to understand the risks, thinking about risks and how to manage risks. So I think we make it a big point in our own AI education internally to say, look, the technical skills are important, but some of these human skills are even more important in the coming age of AI, right? So I think that's a very key thing that we tend to focus on. But again, in our industry, I think we have to be very judicious, as you say, as to where to automate and where to augment. And where we do augment, what are the governance mechanisms in place? What are the checks and balances in place? And how do we make sure that AI is being used in a fair way, right, in a transparent and explainable way for our patient population? So that's very important for us.
Absolutely, and I think you're right. I mean, coexistence is the key to the human and the AI here. Um, Naresh, coming to you, and I think I'm sure you are faced with this whole influx of everybody wanting to be, all students wanting to be only in the AI field. How are you able to tackle this, and how are you able to really communicate to them that AI is not a vertical to study, but a horizontal that will apply across all branches, all fields of study?
To be honest, we have moved from the department-specific requirements in education now. So we can't call someone a triple, electrical engineer, a mechanical engineer, EC engineer anymore. So I think the
If
department.
at all you have mechanical and civil still.
We do have, but they are required. No, we need no civil engineers who know virtual reality.
Okay.
We need mechanical engineers who know automation. So we are breaking that boundaries and we are moving towards domain-based education. So where we are introducing all these emerging tech as an electives, where it is an option for student to select any one of this emerging tech based on his department. It is not relevant for him. Even an computer science student knowing 3D printing might be useful for him. So he might be passionate for it. And a student from civil engineering who knows virtual reality and VR can build virtual landscapes which will be present. So we are moving towards that where every department gets an opportunity to understand the emerging tech and learn a module on that. So the T-shaped learning is being achieved for every student. And one more short inspiring story which I would like to say, which we had a journey in the last 4 years where we experimented in infusing AI in the education, where we have developed a system called Sairam Artificial Intelligence Learning. So SAIL, it's an learning model which goes around only the curriculum. So generally everyone uses GPTs and the authentication of what is being responded is not known by the student. But now what we have done is, we have made a teaching model where a teacher, before going inside the class, he can prompt it in that application saying how to make that class interesting. So it goes under the curriculum and gets back an idea on how we can teach. And engaging them through case studies. So a case study based on a topic can be automatically generated. So it's kind of fighting the fire with fire. So now we know any case study given to the student, he will give it to the GPTs and give us an answer. But this is where the students are prompted. So the case study will be given and the students will be asked for questions. So he needs to respond to the case study based on the problem. So he is being prompted as a replier. And this is being taken as an evaluation method. And one more thing is the evaluation and assessment. So it's a nightmare for academicians who are here to derive the course outcome and what is the attainment of the course and program outcome, which is an evaluation methodology of how the academic performance has been made. But this can all be done digitally through AI now, and we can we have a beautiful dashboard, the kind of a stock market where we know which department has attained and which department needs improvement for where, and all the feedbacks are being collectively taken back, and we are able to make policy decisions based on the collective information. So this was previously done manually, and it takes a huge number of man-hours. But we see AI as a good potential assistant for an academic institution. That is what we believe in now.
No, that's great. And I think you touched upon a very interesting thing, right? How to make a class attentive, a class interesting. I think for some of us who would come from an era where you had to be in the class attentive, that's all. Attentive within quotes. You don't have a choice. But today, I think you're probably doing the right thing with the span of attention going down by the day. And I think, if I'm not wrong, data says that the Gen Alpha's span of attention is about 10 to 12 seconds. And they're claiming that for Beta, which will be there in schools and colleges soon, it'll probably be 7 seconds. So if that's the kind of span of attention we will have, probably, I think you are in the right space to catch their attention at the right time. With that, I think probably, we started the day with the minister talking a lot about the state, and we know how Tamil Nadu as a state has been had a great unique advantage, whether it is the GCCs or their services or the startups or the other rapidly rising deep tech organizations. And of course, the real opportunity lies in the coming together of all the three forces, right? The industry, the startup, and the academia. As we conclude this session, I just wanted to kind of seek to hear from each one of you on saying, so many things are going right in the state. What do you think that one additional thing could be done that could kind of, make this growth exponentially higher. I mean, we could go in any order of your choice. Anyone.
Yeah, maybe I can start, but I think one thing I would say is Tamil Nadu has rich human capital. It has a rich base of industry, whether it be auto, you name it. We have a very rich base of industry. We have, of course, IT and GCCs, but I think these sectors are not coming together enough for what is this future of, if you go from the office-based work to the physical work that can be done out of India for the world, the industry and the tech services and the academia and the startups, all of them have to really come together more than they are today, right? I think we have forums like You Imagine, which we are holding once a year to do that, and that's a fantastic start. But I think we really need to create 10 pilots or 10 big success stories between now and 2030, where you really see the potential of all these coming together in Tamil Nadu in every single sector. So it could be automotive, it could be power, it could be transmission. So we need to create one success story in each sector where we really fully exploit the human, the technological, the industry, the academia, and the startup potential of Tamil Nadu.
Great. And so you're basically saying that we shouldn't rest on the success of today, but probably aim 10x. Great. Jana?
So building up on what Shiva said, this is actually a suggestion from one of my colleagues. Like, we have various districts in Tamil Nadu which are all naturally exhibiting certain pockets of excellence. Textiles, Tirupur, Madras, IIT Madras, us and a few others excelling on system on chip and communications technology. Hosur on electronics manufacturing domain. So why not associate potentially every district with one key pocket of excellence on each of these: battery technology, embedded systems communication, and then EVs and so on, and then grow 10x that way. Could be one way we can look at it. The other minister referred to data. I would go one step further to say not just data in silos about all the information we have about companies, products, policies, individuals and services and all, but build a proper knowledge model so that is exponentially more useful for companies seeking to leverage it and then deploy AI solutions on top of it.
Great. Yeah, I think maybe that could be a start point of an open data policy for the state or something like that. Absolutely. Completely agree. Naresh?
So I think I'm asking a little bit more an ambitious thing, maybe, a thought process, where we have a lot of industries and a lot of MSMEs in our country, and as a state also. Already we are working with a center called Precision Engineering Technology Center, which has been established in the Tirumudivakam Industrial Estate by the government of Tamil Nadu. It's an 100 crore valuation of a design center, which is to be utilized by the MSMEs for making their R&Ds, where we are supporting them for students, intern and other things. So these clusters are made in different zones. But already the non-Mudalvan scheme and lot of proactive schemes are being brought up by the Tamil Nadu government. But I feel there is a small connecting the dots which is missing. So if they can make nodal centers or partnership curriculum, where in the industry, academia, everyone can be a part of that. So even one industry or one company working with one department or one institution, the impact is going to be volume. So we have the maximum number of human resource who are the capital of the industry who are going to work for them. So I think if we can make some model where one company can work with one institution, I think we can cover the entire state. So that would make a very big impact, not only working on only with the big tech giants, but we have even the smallest companies who can contribute. So if we can work on some model like that, I think that would make a bigger count impact, and we can reach out to everyone. The tier 2, tier 3 institutions also, they need a lot of support, but we need more volunteering in that perspective. If that can be made, I think we can make a good impact for the entire state.
No, absolutely makes sense. And I think you're basically saying that we should cast the net wide. And I think both of them talked about going deep, and you're talking about the breadth. So I think in unison, I think it really kind of covers. And I think, no better than this. And I think I have the colleagues from NASSCOM in Chennai team here. Maybe Jana, with you as the leading the regional council, I think we should probably get started on the point that you made. Maybe pick those one or two pockets in the state and start making a difference. I think it's important we make the beginning, and maybe we should make that beginning now. With that, I think we are almost at the top of the hour. If there is one question, we'd be happy to take. I guess we just have time for one question. If you can make it quick, somebody
There's a question at
kindly
the
raise your
back.
hand.
There's a question at the back. Can we get the mic to the person at the back, please?
Yeah, very interesting discussions. Thank you so much. I have just one question. So, what would your view be around the whole concept of sovereign AI? Because I think a lot of the data that's coming in and the way it flows back into the servers and the hyperscalers is all still Silicon Valley and Seattle. So, given the context of AI reaching out to the next billion users in India, what would be your view on the whole sovereign AI thing and how we can make it within India I'm sure you guys know the concept of sovereign AI, so would like to hear your views.
Anyone will take it? Shiva?
Maybe I can start, but that's a really good question, and I think we have to. There is a number of these predictions that say that in the next few years you will have 3 AI islands, right? You have different regions of the world that would have established their own, foundational data, their own models, and want to restrict their data to themselves. All I would say is that I think we have. It's a careful balancing act that we have to do, because we have a huge amount of population in this country that needs to benefit from AI, and a lot of investment, whether it coming from the Indian companies or the global companies, is required to really uplift, the potential of AI in India. On the one hand, and the other hand, of course, there are sectors and types of data that we want to hold more confidentially or more locally. I think it's a very delicate balance, because if we do too much on one side, then we could miss out the huge amount of investment and the huge amount of excitement that is there about India that ultimately is going to benefit us. And on the other hand, of course, we need to protect our institutions, our citizens, where it's important to do so. So I think it's a very careful balance that we have to make in that regard.
Great. Janan, want to add?
Yeah, just to add, the other perspective which I mentioned before is for our custom and personal needs of India itself, like our languages, our culture, our information that is unique to us and applies primarily to us, and being able to develop foundational AI and sovereign AI to be able to service that wherever it makes sense. That's the other perspective.
Great. Thank you. I'm surely it's time up there on the screen. So thank you all. Thank you for being a great audience, and thank you all for your perspectives. Indeed, very, very insightful, and trying to bring those multiple facets to the same discussion, right? That kind of, enriches the discussion. Thank you all. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, panelists. Requesting Mr. Srikanth to please hand over a small token of appreciation from our side to our panelists. Can we have a round of applause, please? Thank you so much. Can we keep the applause going, please? Thank you so much. And another round of applause for our final panelist.